Welcome everybody to Healing Vibrations. My name's Travis. Today we are going to do something a little differently. We will be talking about my crystals and the properties behind them and where you can get them and just little bits of information about each of them. So first off, we're going to start with my selenite wand. Selenite comes in actually many different forms. The one that I have here is actually a selenite wand. And it's actually polished really nicely, which allows it to stay together because of the fact that this wand or selenite itself is very flaky and it's a very fragile mineral. It's easy for it to like break apart and flake away if you have pieces that are more raw. This one specifically has been polished and tuned, so you don't have to worry about pieces coming off of it. Selenite actually also is very common. In terms of where you can find it in stores. Selenite wands tend to go from $10 to $20. I got this one specifically for $10. Selenite is used for cleansing. It's mainly a cleansing stone, which is used for like auric cleansing. So let's say you go somewhere and you feel like you've picked up bad energy or you don't feel good from where you came from. You can always take this wand and just kind of wave it around yourself for like 5 minutes. And doing that will help filter out whatever negativity you ended up picking up. The nice thing about selenite is that you never have to cleanse it. It's actually a self-cleansing stone. And I think it also goes in turn with it being so fragile that, you can't put it in water or you can't really like wash it. So it naturally ends up healing itself. The wand specifically is the way it's cut and polished. And so this comes out as like, it looks like a wand, something that you could use for like Reiki, attuning, or for cleansing yourself. But actually, the selenite comes in many different forms. You could also find it in a rare form or a raw form, which would be more like this black tourmaline that I have here. It would just look completely raw like this, except it's very flaky and breaks apart. You could also find selenite in just smooth stones where they're polished and just carved nicely. The wand specifically is great because it doesn't flake apart like other raw forms of the selenite. And it's just really easy to carry around, use for healing and cleansing properties. The cleansing, again, is just great for cleansing your own aura. And you don't have to worry about washing it or putting it in the sun or putting it in the moon. You can just leave it right after you finish your session and it's good to go. Lots of stones, to cleanse them, you actually need to place them in the sunlight or you place them in the moonlight, or you can wash them underneath water or do Reiki on them. Because some crystals that you end up buying actually hold the energy inside of them. So if someone had chaotic energy and they came and held your crystal, you could end up dropping it or somehow it'll like jump out of your hand and it'll end up breaking. So to prevent that kind of stuff, you want to cleanse your stones. And there's many different ways to cleanse each different stone that you have. Whereas the selenite just cleanses itself. So you don't have to worry about anything. This is great for placing with other stones because not only does it cleanse itself, it just doesn't hold negative vibrations, which prevents it from passing on negative vibrations from person to person. And it also helps with cleansing other stones if you place it in a pile of stones. Next, we will do my citrine. So citrine comes off in this golden hue. It's absolutely beautiful golden color. And it is said that the citrine holds the energy of the sun, which is a very powerful type of energy. As you can see in its color, when you hold it, it even gives you the feel of its strength, and it just kind of gives you more like a drive. It's very good for picking up your motivation and just taking action in life. It's more of like an action stone. So not only is it very cleansing and healing to hold, but it's also very much a wealth attractor as well. So the way lots of things work is the way that you think of something with the power of your mind, you end up creating it. And so This is great for holding and trying to create manifestations of wealth. This one specifically is cut in a form that gives it a point, and so when the crystals are at points like that, it actually allows the energy to flow through it very purely. So there's no blockage of flow. So you could also use the citrine wand the same way that you would use selenite for cleansing your aura. You can also find citrine in many different ways. It also comes in crystal clusters. Like you could find that bunched together almost like an amethyst, or somewhat like this. They have citrine form in many different ways. It grows, and lots of times it grows in points just like this. This wand, crystal point, goes for, you can find them anywhere from 20 to, the price limit is endless, because this one I got for, I believe it was $50, but it's very thick, very strong, powerful crystal. Yeah, this one, it tends to be more expensive because of the clear cut and how smooth it looks. The easier that you can see through the crystal, the more you're going to end up paying, because it has almost no fault in it. Not that, if there wasn't clarity, it has a fault, but it just shows how clean and clear Mother Nature can grow. So the more clean and clear you find things, it could end up costing a lot more. This one here, back to the black tourmaline. This is one of my absolute favorite protection stones. So I sleep with this one next to my bed all the time, because of the fact that if you are someone that suffers from nightmares, it's excellent at preventing them because it absorbs negative energy so well. This crystal also you can find in different forms. They have them polished. They have larger pieces. This isn't actually a raw chunk of black tourmaline, so it literally grows out of the ground exactly like this, and they just extract it, and bam, you've got a chunk. Black tourmaline also is probably one of the most common protection stones that you can get. The prices tend to vary quite a bit between the sizes and the type that you get. So this one I actually spent $50 on, because it's raw and pretty large. You can find smaller pieces that are more polished for, $5, $10. But then again, you can find giant chunks pieces for $200 to $300. It just kind of depends on what size that you want. Size doesn't really matter. The effects of the protection take place regardless. So it just kind of depends on what you're drawn to, what you're pulled to, and what you would like to add to your own collection. So if you were to purchase a raw piece of the black tourmaline as opposed to a polished stone, these are very, very fragile. I actually broke this one already. It's because it's flaky the same way that selenite is. You also don't need to cleanse this in water. You don't need to cleanse it in the sun or the moon. This is also a self-cleansing stone. Lots of the stones that are very flaky and fragile tend to be self-cleansing. So if you're looking for one that you don't truly have to worry about very much, I would go with a polished version of the black tourmaline as opposed to the raw form, which you have here. Next, I have my kyanite. So what I've done is I'm just showing you all the very fragile, raw pieces of crystal that I have. Kyanite is a very, very, very fragile stone. It's actually more delicate than the selenite and the black tourmaline. These you can also find in polished forms or in the raw, as this one is. So the more raw that you find, the more pricey it's going to be, and the more fragile it's going to be. And so this one, I believe I got this one for about $40, but it was a pretty good deal. This is one of my first stones that I ever got, and it feels really good in the hand. And I didn't really learn until I started using it that the sweat from your hands will actually cause it to flake apart. So if you're looking for something that's more easy to maintain, I would also go with a polished version of this. They range from, again, small little pieces to giant pieces of kyanite. But the bigger you get, I believe the harder it is for it to be polished. And so going with the raw is the way to go. This one is also great for auric cleansing. It's associated with your throat chakra, so it also helps with expressing yourself and using your words. So if you're finding yourself in a place where you're not speaking how you would like to be and you're holding things back, the kyanite is a great tool to help bring that out of you. Okay, and now we're moving on to our rose quartz. This is the stone of love. Love, prosperity, happiness. The stone that I'm holding here specifically is a raw chunk of the rose quartz. I personally love the raw because of the fact that it hasn't been tumbled and worn down. This is exactly as you would find it in nature. This piece was $15. The rose quartz can range from a very wide range of prices as well. You can find them more small and tumbled. You can also find rose quartz wands, as I have here. So the difference between the wand and the raw piece is that the wand is mainly used for cleansing and like clearing your body. So if you wanted to work on somebody to help them open up their heart or clear their heart and help to bring more love into their life and happiness, then you would use the rose quartz points, which is the wand. And because of that, you can create a current that channels out of the tip and into whoever you're doing a cleansing session on. But if you just want to sit with it and bask in the love, you can just lay on your bed and place it on your heart, and you can feel that loving energy that comes off from this rose quartz. Next, we will jump into my clear quartz. So here we have a clear quartz matrix. So this matrix is obviously torn probably straight from the ground. This is how quartz grows in its pure form. So if you were to come across a mine that was growing these, it would come out looking exactly like this. So this is a piece that was just broken straight out of the ground and then sold. So something like this actually can be very expensive. This one specifically I got for around between $150 and $180. And this also is very fragile. You want to be very careful with these. Although for cleaning and cleansing it, it's easy to just run under some water or take a little toothbrush and do soft little brushes on it. The thing about the quartz crystal is that it's one of the highest vibrational stones. So it carries and holds the energy that you put in it very, very easily. That's why it's very important to always cleanse your quartz crystals. And you would do that by placing it in the sun. You could place it in the sun for 24 hours. It doesn't have to be 24 hours. You could do it for 2 to 4 hours also. But you can also leave it in the moon. The moonlight will also cleanse and purify it. You could leave it with a stone that helps other stones cleanse, such as the selenite that we used earlier, and just basic water. You can just cleanse it with water, but you definitely want to make sure that you cleanse these, because whatever intention that you've put into them, it will hold that intention. So it's good to clear them out after every single use. And I have a few more, as you can see here. Here's another clear quartz wand. This one and this one are very big. You can buy these for anywhere from $30 to $100 depending on the size. These ones I got for $40 each, which is a pretty good deal. And they're not very fragile. You can kind of do whatever you like with them. But it is also very important that you cleanse these. And by cleansing, I mean washing with the water, placing it in the sun, or placing it in the moon. Also, we have here another clear quartz point. This one is still attached to the matrix from where it used to be attached to something similar to this. The difference between all of these quartz that I have here is obviously each quartz that grows in different places in the world will grow a little bit differently. This one, you can see how it's clear. You can see through it at the top. And that shows that it grew naturally like this. So this came straight from a matrix, and it was probably, taken off in some way and then resold this way. And this one can go for, $50, $60 easily. But with these guys, what these ones are, the difference between these, because they're actually not completely clear, they're more white. And the reason for that is these didn't grow naturally like this. They were actually cut like this by man. So the reason why it's thick is that they probably just had a giant block of just normal quartz crystal, not clear quartz, but just regular quartz. And then they shave chunks out of those blocks and then cut these specifically to look like points. So it looks like a crystal point that's similar to something like this, but this actually grew naturally. Whereas these ones were man-made. And also I have a clear quartz massage wand. This massage wand is different from the other ones that I showed you because this is good for pressure points. So if you like have areas of tension and pain in your feet or your shoulders or your hand, you can actually use these points to just kind of relieve the pressure and the pain. And this is also man-made. This was carved to look like this from the same type of stone that this was made from. And you could find something like this for $10 to maybe $20. And you can find these on Amazon. You can find them in crystal shops. You can pretty much find them anywhere you want. So let's say, this one is a lot smaller than this one. But because this one was actually found and came from the ground the way that it did, this could be $60 to $70 just because it's such a large chunk. Whereas this one, being man-made, cut straight from a block, would only be $30 or $40. So it's the price is very affordable. It doesn't change the effects that it provides you with the cleansing properties. But it just depends on if you like something that was cut and made this way, or if you like something that grew naturally from Mother Nature. Okay, next we have malachite. So this malachite is also a stone that's attributed to love and the heart chakra. It's also known as a traveler's stone. So this is a great stone if you want to carry it with you when you're going on trips or on vacations, because it holds a property that gives you a field of protection and love. I have another version of it, which here is a velvet malachite. And you can see there, it's quite different. Similar colors, but this one looks almost like it's velvet. This version here is actually how it grows naturally and raw in nature, extracted from the ground and then sold separately. Whereas this one, this would be like a chunk, a block, again, cut straight from the ground, and then someone breaks the pieces and then polishes, cleans it, and then resells it. So it actually doesn't grow naturally like this. But the beautiful thing about the malachite, it's kind of difficult to see in this lighting, but it has columns, like perfect little circles all over it, which give it just a very unique, beautiful, beautiful look. And a piece like this would range from anywhere from $40 to $60. And malachite tends to be a bit more pricey. So the larger the chunk of malachite, the more you're going to end up paying. So this one's more on the cheaper side just because it's not that big, but you could find pieces double this size for, $300-$400, or little teeny tiny pieces for $5 to $10. It just, again, depends on the size that you want and how you would like it. Whereas this one, which is the velvet malachite, is actually more expensive than this one because, as you can see, it's even though it's raw, it has almost like a spider silk look to it. And this one is about $50, and it's a lot smaller of a piece, but again, the crystals are based off of rarity as well. So normal malachite is a lot more abundant than the velvet malachite, so the raw velvet malachite will end up costing you quite a bit more than the polished version of it. Our next crystal is the Elestial Quartz. So this one is a form of quartz mixed a little bit with smoky quartz. And this Elestial Quartz is known to increase your connection with the spirits and with the higher realms of existence. And when you look at it, you can see that the matrix on it is very almost supernatural look to it. And the way that the matrix grows is very unique compared to a normal quartz crystal. The rarity of this causes it to cost a little bit more than a normal quartz crystal would. This piece probably was around $50 or $60 also. This is how it grows naturally in its raw form. So it would be on a matrix, and then these are obviously broken off and then sold separately. But the Elestial Quartz, you can only find just like this. So they only sell it in raw forms, in chunks like this. You might be able to find individual points, but most of the time you're going to find it in a cluster, and they range anywhere from, $30 to, the sky's the limit on how much they could cost. If you were to find an Elestial Quartz that was the size of something like this, whereas, I bought this one for about around $160. If you were to find an Elestial Quartz that size, it would probably be up in the thousands. And how you would cleanse this one is you can put this one in the rain, or not in the rain, I'm sorry. You could put it in the sun, or you could put it in the moon. But because it's also a bit fragile and it can, break pretty easily, I would avoid cleansing it in the water. But this is great for meditation if you don't have any clarity and you're trying to, get a better vision on where you want to take your life. This is a great stone to hold on to. Up next, we actually have Moqui Marbles. So these are also called shaman stones. These are found in Arizona, and these are absolutely incredible the way that they're made. They actually form in pockets of rock walls, and as the wind blows the rock walls apart, these little guys come tumbling out from the air pockets that they grew in. And their main base is iron, but when you hold one in each hand, you'll feel that one doesn't feel right in the other hand. So you're usually, when you use these, you always want to have two, so you have one for each side. And these are great for balancing your aura and just balancing your mind and body in general. And when you hold them close together like this, it actually feels like you're pressing two magnets towards each other and they're pushing each other away. So this is incredible because you can actually feel the power of the crystal inside of it. These you can find from anywhere from, $15 to maybe $40. They're not very expensive, but finding the quality of having them perfectly polished the way they are is the tough part. And when you roll them together like this, if you do it for long enough at the right spot, it'll generate a ring that is extremely high pitched, and it sounds like you're ringing a bell. So there's a lot of incredible things about these stones, and you can wash these in water. You can cleanse them in water, you can cleanse them in the sun, or you can cleanse them in the moon. So they're quite durable. Up next, we've got Botswana Agate. And so this one is almost like a mirror. This one was cut and polished this way. It's really easy to see the design inside of it when you have direct sunlight going through it. You can actually see that there's a whole bunch of incredible patterns inside of it. This stone is a really comforting and loving stone, so it's also very grounding. It helps you to be at ease with yourself and accept yourself. So it's good for people that are having a hard time accepting themselves. A Botswana agate, it's funny because this one actually reflects like a mirror. And so it's funny how what it's made for actually I have. So you can kind of look at yourself and accept yourself by looking at your own reflection in the Botswana agate. This piece is actually a very expensive cut, and this grows in chunks and blocks like most the stones that you'll see, but this was actually shaved and cut on both sides and made into like a slate, and someone polished it and put in the work to give it the shine that it has. And something like this could go anywhere from $150 to $300. Most of the time you'll find Botswana agates in small rock form, which are just a nice small tumbled piece of crystal. But again, you could find larger pieces as well that are similar to this, but not so much a mirror like this one is. So you can see a bit of the shine coming through. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. You can see some of the design on there. Absolutely beautiful. Up next we have my calcite. So calcite actually forms in many different colors. This one specifically is a mixture of both the green and the orange. As you can see, it's very, very fragile also, because this is how it grows in its natural raw form. So there's pieces that will just break and flake off of it. It's one of those crystals that you want to be just very careful with if you have. Lots of times they have smaller chunks of raw pieces of calcite, which are very durable and strong, and you don't have to worry about them flaking apart. But if you find them in, almost this pyramid shape, lots of times they tend to be quite more fragile. Calcite is extremely common, and it's easy to find in crystal shops and pretty much anywhere you go. It's really good for your third chakra, which is your power center. It really helps you have confidence in your decision making and allows you to, take action. And this piece here was probably $60. Calcite is actually one of the cheaper stones. You can find pretty large pieces for a pretty cheap price. $60 for this is actually a really good deal. But you mainly find tumbled pieces of the calcite, and that can range anywhere from $5 to $20. Yeah, and so when it's tumbled, it's polished and ends up looking more like this. So almost all crystals that I have, or that you can find anywhere, will come in polished forms like this. And this one, when they're polished like that, it really emphasizes their shine. their shape, their durability. It allows for them to be easily cleaned whenever they're polished like that. When they're polished, you can wash them in water, you can leave them in the sun, you can leave them in the moon, and anything can happen. Or you don't have to worry about anything happening. This stone here is actually my Labradorite. I have a much larger piece in my storage that I need to take out and show you all. But this is, I call it the universe stone. It's also really good for connecting with higher powers and our higher selves, as well as our spirit guardians. It's really good for connecting with your third eye and meditation. So if you're looking to have like a special connection in your meditation, these ones they open up the channel to these abilities. So this one, you can see how it has a shine in here. It almost looks like the universe, like fire. It's absolutely beautiful. And Labradorite you can find in all different shapes and sizes. This piece here was probably $15. They're relatively cheap. I mean, of course, the bigger you get, the more it's going to cost. But yeah, easy to clean, easy to take care of, and the feelings that you get using it in meditation are absolutely incredible. Okay, everybody, that is the time that we have. This is just a fraction of my collection. If you guys really liked what you saw and you want to learn more about crystals and see more crystals and have any questions, let us know in the comments and feedback. And if you'd like us to make another video, please let us know that as well. And we look forward to hearing from you.